Hi guys, my name is Frank White and welcome to another episode of Photography Tips and Reviews. In this episode, I want to talk about a product announcement from Canon. Yes, they have announced two new DSLRs and a mirrorless cam. The two cameras that they have announced is the 77D and the T7i. Now, if you're like me, what you want to really know is whether these cameras may be of use to you. So let's look them up and see what we can find out about them. Basically, the EOS 77D and the T7i have pretty much the same thing up under the hood, but they do have a few differences. Now, the 77D is almost like the 80D, except for it's not quite as feature rich, even though it has some newer technology, primarily the processor for the sensor. The 80D has the Digi6 processor, and the 77D and the T7i both have the Digi7 processor. But the 80D right now is selling for about $1,100. The 77D, when it ships later next month, or early April, will ship at a price of $900, and the T7i will ship for $750. So you're probably wondering, what is the difference between the 77D and the T7i? But before you wonder that, I'm sure you would like to find out what are the specifications. So just looking at a list of the specs here, both of them support the SD card, only have one SD card. Both of them are, as you already know, support the EF lens mount. Both of them have the image sensor, which is the 24.2 megapixel sensor. Both of them support the 27.2 megapixel sensor. And a little bit about this sensor, the sensor is actually a 25.8 megapixel sensor, but the effective pixels are boiled down to 24.2. So I'm glad that when they tell us about the sensor technology, they're not using the higher number as their marketing ploy, because it sounds better. You know, a 25.8 megapixel camera sounds a lot more attractive to us than a 24.2 megapixel camera, but the 24.2 megapixels is all we're really going to get out of the camera. Both cameras support 1080p recording, so there's nothing new there. The ISO on both cameras is expanded to 25,600 natively. So I suspect that they really both have good low light performance. The maximum shutter speeds are 1/4000th of a second. And they both have the built-in pop-up flash, as you can imagine. Well, there are consumer enthusiasts in advanced amateur cameras, if not entry-level cameras. So the T7i is more of the entry-level camera than the 77D, but I digress. Let me get to the biggest thing that really make news about this camera, and that is that 45-point dual pixel autofocusing system on both cameras. Wow. In the past, The autofocusing system on the Rebel series have always been a point of contention. One of the biggest points, one of the biggest things that you might want it to consider shying away from that camera, but that is no longer the case. Not only does it have 45 autofocus points, but they're all dual pixel. So you can get that follow focusing technology that makes focusing really easy. Makes that camera be able to lock focus and follow the subject. It's just incredible. They both support 6 frames per second burst mode, which isn't bad, and they both have the articulating screen fully touch, and they both have built-in Wi-Fi, near-field communications, or NFC for you Android users, and they both support Bluetooth. Bluetooth is something new that they've just added to the Rebels and to the camera systems, period. So all in all, I think they are gonna make pretty good additions to Canon's arsenal of cameras. Now, let's talk about the differences between the 77D and the T4i. Okay, so basically what you lose with, did I say T4i? T7i. So basically the 77D and the T4i are the same camera. Now, the biggest difference in the two camera bodies is that the T7i is a little smaller, and you lose the top LED display, but you pretty much have basically everything else that you would get in the 77D. So the question that a lot of you may find yourself asking if you decide to get one of these bodies is whether or not that top LED display is worth the extra money. And I think it's about $150 or so. For me, I found that I absolutely need my top LED display, because when I pull the camera up to my eye, I want to have my settings dialed in most of the time. Sometimes I just don't have time to pull it up to my eye and then dial in my settings. So that's something that you guys will have to decide for yourself. So I hope this episode has been useful. I hope you have gotten some information about these two camera bodies. If you like this information, go ahead and give me a thumbs up. I use it as a barometer to determine how well I'm presenting you with this information. And if you haven't subscribed yet, go ahead and hit that subscription button, become a part of this community. And if you have any questions or comments, leave them below. If you're going to shoot anybody today, shoot them with a Canon or a camera of your choice. And remember, keep shooting no matter what.